What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Beyond Talks. Unfortunately, Jeffrey is not able to join us. He is a little sick, so hopefully next episode he'll be able to reconnect with us and all that. But as always, I'm here with
Steven Mannino.
Nice.
Director Steven Mannino. There you go.
This movie review is about none other than the film The Substance. And is that an A24 film?
No.
It's not, right? It's just, okay.
It
yeah.
sounds like it,
I know,
but
right?
it's up their alley. But
We're doing a movie review on The Substance featuring Demi Moore and that other girl,
Margaret Qualley.
Margaret Robbie.
Qualley! Not Margot Robbie. Oh my God.
But this film, I mean...
And?
And Dennis Quaid.
There you go.
There you go, and Dennis Quaid. So if I were to give this movie a synopsis, it would basically be about women empowerment and...
No, give them the actual plot of the movie.
This movie...
For our viewers who haven't seen the movie.
Yes, for the viewers who haven't seen this film, a good synopsis for this film is Demi Moore's character is this jazzercise... I'm getting traumatized just thinking about it.
She runs this workout show.
Yes, this workout show, and obviously in Hollywood, the older you get, the less you're looked at as star potential. So she unfortunately gets fired from the show that she hosts, and she goes through this midlife crisis, and somehow, some way, she gets into a car accident, and the nurse attending to her gives her this package that has this thing called the substance in it. And basically what it is, it's, if you guys have seen The Human Centipede, it's kind of basically like that, at least to me. But you take the substance, and for every 7 days out of the week, you're your own self, and then you're a younger version of yourself. But the thing is,
you have to respect the balance.
Yeah, could you? I'm gonna throw up.
Getting nauseous?
Yeah, you go ahead. Yep, you take it from here, buddy.
So it's about once she takes the substance, she has to respect the balance. Every 7 days, as Richard said, you're the younger version of yourself, and the next 7 days you are the older version of yourself, the original version.
Yes.
And Elizabeth, that's Demi Moore's character's name. In the movie, she ultimately she takes this. I guess it's called I guess you would name it a black market drug because it's not really advertised.
Yeah.
She takes it, and because she was fired from her job, she wants to look young again. She wants to look beautiful because apparently she needs validation and approval from this very jerky TV movie executive played by Dennis Quaid.
Yes.
And the worst scenario happens because her younger self starts taking advantage and using more time taken away from the original version. Excuse me. And by the end of the movie, are we revealing the end of the movie?
Yeah.
By the end of the movie, she decides to make a clone of the clone. So a second copy. So a third Elizabeth is formed, and it's actually comes out to be this grotesque version of Elizabeth. And then she dies at the end.
Yeah, she just dies.
She just dies.
But can we just start this review off by saying this movie really, I think, my first impression was this is a normal movie. This is like
define normal.
This is okay. When I first saw it before all the nonsense went down, I was like, this is an original take on what is most likely going on in Hollywood right now when it comes to age, especially when it comes to women, because unlike most actresses, and I'm not trying to sound sexist or like a feminist or anything like that, but Harrison Ford is still acting, and he's old. They don't cover the fact that he's old. Mm-hmm. They just, here's a new film, new TV show, new this. Unfortunately, some actresses in the Hollywood industry aren't as lucky. And so that's why when I first watched this, I was like, this is going to be very, very interesting. This is going to be something that most you wouldn't see in most like Hollywood magazines or like pop-up interviews on like the E Network or whatever network does interviews like that. But this took a turn like a lot, and as just like as an advice, I would definitely not watch this movie if you haven't seen it yet while eating a meal, because if you have a weak stomach like I do, your meal is going to be all over the floor. But what was your take on this movie?
My take.
From the beginning, so we go in order.
Well, I may have a differing opinion from you, so why don't you go first?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that throughout this film, they did have really, really good points that they did hit, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was...
unusual.
It was unusual.
Let's start with this. How uncomfortable did the movie make you feel? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most uncomfortable.
This film, I've seen a lot of horror films, like very gruesome horror films. Mm-hmm. I've just seen some very gruesome films. But I've never seen a film like this where I had to sit in my car with you for an additional 3 hours after watching the movie, eating McDonald's. Yeah. I'd say this isn't even on the chart. This is like 100 to 1 million on like 1 million out of 10, because the CGI and just the visuality of the film when it got to that part, which I'll be honest, it got to that point a lot faster than I thought it would. I think they did like good storytelling to get to that point, but once it happened, it's like one of those moments where you can't keep your eyes off of the screen, but you really, really want to. Mm-hmm. Where you're like, what the hell is happening right now? I believe that this film is rated R for some nudity and like maybe like one.
The nudity is the least problem for rated R.
If you've seen, I think the only movie that I could possibly relate this to that's in mainstream media nowadays is like Terrifier, because the same amount of gore and gruesomeness. Mm-hmm. I mean, the only other one that I could think of is The Human Centipede, but that movie came out how many years ago? I think this was directed by a woman, and yes, I was very surprised because what the heck? You know, a lot of people tell me that have also seen this film is it is about like women taking back their youth in a sense.
Sure. They're taking it back already.
Oh no, this is definitely so not that. I think they took the mentality of it mm-hmm. and then made it very, very visual, and that was so not like anything I've seen before ever. There's only one scene in particular where I kind of realized I was watching a movie, and that was the end scene in the theater where she's hosting the New Year's Eve show.
Yeah, the New Year's Eve show.
It's just this bloody, gory bloodbath of a scene. It goes on, and I'm sure I'm exaggerating, but it felt like to me 4 to 5 minutes of just this practical like mush of a monster blowing up, and I don't even know how the hell that happened. I think like more body parts started coming out and forming on that one body.
Shut up.
And like there were kids in the audience, there was guests in the audience, and just spewing everywhere. Like imagine the scene from, I think it's The Shining, the blood elevator.
Oh, okay, that one too. I was gonna say, okay, let's back up a little bit. What was your main problem with the film? Because you've already told me you're not really a fan of the film. So we'll get back to that later, but what's your main problem with the film?
I think my main problem with the film is I wish there was like a warning to what we were about to witness. You know, like I'll be honest, I think this is like one of the first movies that I went into without watching a trailer.
Oh, so you haven't watched the trailer?
I don't even know if that part was in the trailer.
Because, I don't think so.
See, that's what I'm saying. I think that was like a good thing to keep. Right, exactly. But I wish there was a warning. I mean, I saw Terrifier without watching a trailer either. And I watched the second one, and that one starts very, very gruesomely.
Like, well, okay, why don't we, let's not dive into expectations.
Okay.
Okay, now that you know what's entailed, what, do you have any problems with it, like now that after you've seen the film twice?
Yeah, just that one scene, the very bloody scene. I mean, like, honestly, I could deal with the gruesome. I'll be honest, I really could if I knew what the hell I was getting myself into. But what I don't like as a moviegoer, because especially since we started writing our film, every time I watch a movie now, I just be like, oh, I know how they got that shot, or I can only imagine. So I'm already taken out of the movie. But outside of being like an amateur filmmaker, that scene really pulled me out. Like, I was like, oh, I'm just, like, this is so unrealistic, and this could never happen. Like, there's not that.
Okay, well, now there goes suspension of disbelief.
Right.
All right? And did that hold up for you?
No.
Or, no, it didn't.
No, it didn't. I felt like I already knew that there was probably...
Obviously, this can't happen in real life.
Right.
Okay?
There was probably just someone behind the camera with, like, a hose with, like, fake blood just spew, you know. But it took me out, and then that was pretty much the ending scene. I was like, how are you going to keep me engaged in this film for this long? And then the end is just like, well, we're already done, so just throw whatever else on there. You know, like, just whatever else we can put on camera, let's do it.
Well, now you know what the film means, though, right? You know what it's a metaphor.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a metaphor about Demi Moore's character getting older and wanting to...
About beauty standards.
Yes.
And especially in Hollywood. And that once women reach... Actually, it was the character's 50th birthday.
Yeah.
And that's why she got fired, because Dennis Quaid's character wants a younger version.
Yes.
He wants a fresh start. He wants to create this new hip show with a beautiful young woman, all right? And that's just not her anymore.
Yes.
And one thing I also noticed about this is that it's quite satirical. You know, it's making fun of the fact. I mean, there is literally no way that a major Hollywood producer would act like Dennis Quaid's personality. Okay?
You know,
they were exaggerating it. That's what a satire does.
Actually, right? I don't. You know, okay, I've been...
The scene where he eats the shrimp? I mean, come on.
That reminds me, what's that one director that I said that this feels like a... Damn,
what?
There's a director that films his movies in such a... not Scorsese. Scorsese? No.
What? Okay, give me a movie.
The Hotel Budapest one?
What? Wes Anderson?
Yes, Wes Anderson.
The Grand Budapest Hotel?
That scene where I think it's like his meeting with Demi Moore about her firing, right? Mm-hmm. That felt like that's one of the scenes I love. I don't know why.
Oh, probably because of the camera placement.
Yeah,
you know, that wide shot when he's at the urinal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I loved it so much because I was like, there's
visually,
so many...
it's stunning.
Yes, visually, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But what's going on in the scene is not. Like, I feel like they could have used that camera angle so many different times, but they chose to use it. But, you know, I think that's just like almost like a POV shot. You know, we're following Dennis Quaid, and he's supposed to make you feel different. You know, especially...
No, he's supposed to make you feel disgusted because, again, it's satirical. It exaggerates the fact because they wanted to portray him as disgusting as possible. That's why he was eating shrimp that way.
Yeah.
All right? All the wide close-ups of his dirty-ass teeth and him biting the heads off the shrimp. And that's more disgusting than the monster at the end.
Yes.
In my opinion.
I think watching somebody eat that kind of food so close to the camera made me a little uncomfortable. But again, visually, the camera angle was beautiful.
Yeah,
I just wish
it was captivating. Yeah,
I just wish they didn't use it for those scenes. Like, you know, I think one of the things that this movie really does tackle when it comes to Hollywood is, unfortunately, when it comes to younger actresses, especially like up and coming ones, like the scene where she lost her teeth, right, at the New Year's Eve show, and there's just a bunch of old men surrounding her, telling her to smile, and kind of like giving her no space to breathe. Like, I mean, they're in this very tight tunnel. And
well, again, that's another wide shot, wide lens they use.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
not a wide shot.
it feels so sad. Like, it just feels really sad to think about it that way, especially when she's going through what she's going through. You know, she realizes.
Do you feel bad for her?
The girl, or like which version of her?
Just Elizabeth. In the entire movie, do you feel sympathy for her?
I think I do, because as a male trying to work in this industry, I feel like, which does suck, like I feel like I have a lot more opportunities than most actresses might have.
Okay, but wait, but that's not your fault though. I mean,
it's not. But I mean, it's still good to point it out. I mean, this film, I think, in my opinion, doesn't shy away from that, and I think a women director making this film was perfect, because everything that she tried to show was shown properly, and not from a male's perspective. Because just like they say, only men will know what men want, only women will know how they're treated and all this stuff. So coming from a woman's point of view, in my opinion, I think was beautiful. Other than the gore, but everything else was very beautiful. But do I feel bad for her? I do, because if you look at her ex-husband, Bruce Willis, he's not even acting anymore, but he's still in the press for, you know, unfortunately dealing with the disease that he has. But
he has dementia, right?
No, I think that, and some like vocal thing, like he can't talk. I think that's why he just, you know, stopped acting. But I mean, Demi Moore, didn't she like win an award for this, or she was nominated for this movie? And I think I've only seen one article about it, you know, and I'm like, what the
I
heck?
think she was nominated for the Golden Globes.
Oh, there you
tonight,
go. Well, that's happening now, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at the actors, who won afterwards.
Yeah, but you know, I think I do feel bad for her. I think it's hard to, like I said earlier, Harrison Ford's still acting. All these older, like Al Pacino and all them, they're still acting, you know. And we always hear about them, but Demi Moore just makes a movie.
Well, I think. Okay, let's be adults here.
Okay.
We have to acknowledge that, yeah, it's different for women, okay? Because, according to society, I guess. Yeah. But
society.
Let me tell you what my main problem is with the film now, okay?
Okay.
Because I don't feel bad for her.
You don't feel bad for her?
No, because she...
Canceled.
Oh, God. I mean, it's not like she voluntarily, she willingly took this thing herself. It's not like she was forced to take it.
Right.
Yeah. And look, this is why I hate it that they portrayed Dennis Quaid's character as such, I can swear on here, right?
Yeah.
Such an asshole, all right? Yeah, because it's a satire, and it's actually pretty odd to me that a woman made this film, because it's making fun of women for doing such drastic actions in order to make themselves as perfect as possible.
Okay.
All right? And the fact that they made Dennis Quaid's character that also much more satirical, it's almost like he's the reason that she took this drug. And it's not.
Right.
I mean, seriously, it's just not. Because, I mean, that's why I don't feel bad for Demi Moore's character. Because she knows he's an asshole.
Right.
I mean, he's obviously a bad kid. He's not likable, okay? I'm not defending Dennis Quaid's character.
Right.
I'm just saying that's how they portrayed him, and that's how the audience sees him. That's how Elizabeth Sparkle sees him, right? Yeah. So why the hell is she listening to him if he says she's not beautiful? She was age 50.
Yeah,
Demi Moore is actually in her
amazing.
60s. I think Demi Moore is actually in her 60s.
Well, if she's in her 60s, she looks
she looks
great.
Amazing. I know. But her character, though, why is she listening to such an asshole? You know?
Because
right?
I think since the beginning of the entertainment industry, and honestly, I think I overlooked this movie too much just because of the parts I didn't like. But this movie is actually a masterpiece. That's why I think Demi Moore's character listens to Dennis Quaid. Because I don't know when this movie was supposed to take place in. But first of all, they had Teslas.
Well, it looks like present day. I mean, come on.
Well, okay, but did you not hear? Okay, when Elizabeth, what's her name?
Sparkle.
No, the new version of
Sue.
Her. Sue.
Yeah, Sue.
When Sue has her first meeting after the first I think it's like her audition, right, in Dennis Quaid's office, he talks about the views that their show got.
Yeah.
And it sounds very, very low compared to what we are in like nowadays. And he goes, yeah, we got like a couple hundred views, and that's great, but when you came on the scene, we got thousands of views. Okay. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, that's why I was so confused. I was like, if this movie's supposed to take place like in the later years, makes sense, right? But if you're gonna do that, don't show a Tesla in your movie. Because when she gets out of the hospital, the guy that she's supposed to go on a date with from, I guess, high school or elementary school.
Homeroom, 10th grade homeroom.
Yeah, he's driving a Tesla. Okay. Now, I don't know when the first Tesla came out, but it was definitely when I was old enough to know about cars. Because when's the last time you saw an actual jazzercise show being so heavily praised now in 2025 or even 2024? Like, that's how I was like...
So you're more concerned with where it is, like, in the present.
Yeah, because it's like they have so many plot holes in their thing. Like,
such as what?
Like, again, in that meeting, the Dennis Quaid and Sue meeting. Oh, we got thousands of views. That's great. I was like, oh, cool. I was like, now I think I know when this takes place in, like, older Hollywood.
Don't forget, I keep coming back to this. It's a satire, okay? And look, things are... You know what a satire is, right? I mean, have you seen a satire before?
No.
It's like, have you seen, did you watch a movie called Jojo Rabbit about a few years ago?
Oh, yeah.
That's a satire. That's a historical satire. The way they portray Adolf Hitler, the way they portray the Germans. He almost makes him look
like a good guy.
No.
It was directed by Taika Waititi, right? Okay.
So, a satire, a comedy is just making fun.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
A satire is making fun of something. So, Jojo Rabbit, historical satire, makes fun of Germans in the 1940s.
Right.
And the substance here is making fun of women and how what's so funny?
You could have said like the 1980s, but you just went straight to women.
Women, essentially, seriously. I mean, come on. She takes this drug to make herself feel younger. Right. It's an allegory. It's just a metaphor for... I lost my train of thought. It's simply saying that women are too obsessed with how their appearance is.
Okay.
With how they appear.
Yeah, I can get behind you on that one. Sure.
But let me continue So I don't feel bad for Demi Moore's character.
Okay.
I just don't. You're telling me that she is so obsessed with herself that Dennis Quaid's character convinced her that she's not beautiful enough, that she has to make herself feel younger. You're telling me that she's that dumb to listen to that guy?
Okay, well, you have to think about this too. Are you seeing that from a male perspective or a female perspective? Because that's where this all takes a turn, though. You need to understand.
What?
We can say X, Y, and Z about this film because we're guys.
Okay.
And that's why I say I 100% believe that if this movie was directed by a male, it would look completely different, especially when it came to Demi Moore's character.
How?
Just not as... I think that this movie is so impactful and very powerful at the same time because it shows what a different side of a star's life, like a big celebrity's life. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's just like, I don't know. I think they kind of bank off that too much, like all the good points that they make, to then go on to this other thing. And again, I may be the only person who thinks that that's not the reason that this movie might not win an award, because I think in the writers, they were like, oh, that's good. That's a really good scene. And then this person on crack comes into the writing room. It's like, all right, now let's make a body come out of her body. I was like, huh? What are you talking about? Can we just
But that's what a satire does. And that's why I think this movie would work much better and make much more sense if it was just an allegory and not a satire.
Okay.
All right? It's just a movie with a hidden message, and that she's trying to make herself feel younger and look younger.
Right.
And she's going to this, she's taking these drastic actions to make herself feel younger. And that's essentially what a desperate woman would do.
Okay. Fair enough.
Now, back to my other point is that the fact that they exaggerate Dennis Quaid's character so much, that's why I don't feel bad for her, because it's essentially putting all the blame on the men. All right? And if a woman listens to if a man tells a woman that she's not beautiful enough, is the woman really going to listen to the man and try and make herself feel younger just to impress this one guy?
Well, there's a woman in the studio. Hey, Jenny, if I told you that you were not beautiful, would you listen to me?
Women are very insecure, so probably some have some are.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. They're insecure.
There are some.
That's why. Wait a minute. No, that's why Sue's character, she puts in that pink leotard, and that's why she goes to get her job back, because people auditioning her are men. You know?
Make a good point. She also makes a good point. There are some women out there that are very insecure. Now, I think if I walked up to a woman that was very secure about herself, and I just said, "Hey, you're ugly as hell."
Wait, let me pause you right there. Would a secure woman wear revealing clothing or not revealing clothing?
I think that she would wear anything she wants because she's that secure about
But how do you know? Without her telling you, how can you tell? By her appearance.
By her appearance alone?
Yeah, by her appearance.
Maybe. Man, we're only on episode 3. We're gonna get canceled.
If it's not controversial, it's not interesting.
I think if they're a lot of secure women that I see wear not like bikinis, but like crop tops. You know, like lace front tops and suggestive bottoms. Like maybe in the wintertime, like tight jeans to show off their figure.
My point is,
I think an insecure woman that I've seen so far will choose to wear baggier clothing to hide. If their problem is with their body, they will wear baggier clothing to...
Okay, well, now you could also make the argument that what if they're just wearing those types of clothes because they don't care about what other people think?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't care either. I've been starting to wear baggier clothing. I've been wearing like certain outfits to...
Wouldn't you... Okay, look at it this way. If a woman wears such revealing clothing, then I'd say she's more insecure about herself because she's trying to get attention. Because she knows she can get attention from her body.
Okay, so what do you think about the women that wear the baggier clothing and then, let's say you get close enough with them to, let's say go to a pool party and you're like, why do you wear those clothes when you have such a nice body? Like, you can look at it in like 2 different ways all the time.
Exactly, yeah. You can look at it either way.
So I don't think we can like generalize if a woman is secure or not secure, because I have female friends that are very beautiful, but they choose to wear clothes that most girls there... Oh man, how do I say this without sounding like a guy?
You are a guy. What are you talking about?
Well, like, hold on. They choose to wear specific clothing that most girls there build their facial features wouldn't normally wear, you know? Like, they'll wear baggy sweats and oversized hoodies, but when it's time to go out, you know, like when it's time to show out, like dress up, they're wearing these very tight-fitting dresses. They're wearing X, Y, and Z, and I was like,
And that's why I said, if men are such in power, that's the power of the woman.
You know, I think that nowadays women have more power than men. Just because, and follow me on this, because my next question for you was, what do you think about the phrase sex sells? Do you think that's sex sells?
Can you explain that?
Okay, you know how for beer commercials, most beer commercials well, I mean not now, but before, it was always a girl in a bikini on the beach enjoying, like, you know,
They want to attract their audience.
Right.
Yeah.
You know that guys are going to go out there and buy beer, which is good for that company.
Yeah. Have you ever noticed nobody drinks in an alcohol commercial? Like, what the hell's up with that?
Like, right when they put it to their lips, they cut to another person doing something else.
Yeah, I don't understand. Maybe it's against the law or something.
Maybe, I guess.
don't know.
But my thing is, I think that this movie, in some scenes, do that. They
What,
like using that phrase, sex sells. And that's why I think that they even go this route because, like, remember that scene when she first takes the substance? She's like, oh, this shit doesn't work. And then all of a sudden, she starts changing because there's another fucking body that's going to come out of her back. And it's all nudity. Everything's tight. Everything's where it's supposed to be. When you see Demi Moore's character just laying there on the floor in her slime, that, you know, that suit comes out of, she looks all old and wrinkly, and I think that they do a really good job of that too by showing the shower scenes. Yeah, the shower scenes, right?
Yeah.
Because you can tell when it's Elizabeth Sparkle, it's all old, it's all battered, right? Mm-hmm. It's still, in my opinion, I think she still looks good. Like, don't get me wrong, but then when you go to Sue, she's over here touching her body. It's all like her skin's very tight. Her breast area is very perky,
What's your point?
My point is, I think that they just go off that sex sells. And when Dennis Quaid's character sees Sue, this new shiny toy.
Of course he's attracted by what man wouldn't? Are you kidding me?
But you're telling me that she could just end up like another Demi Moore, another Elizabeth Sparkle.
Well, 30 years from now, sure.
Right, but what I'm saying is women have more power. I think if if Elizabeth Sparkle wasn't so worried about her age and where her life was going, she's still beautiful in this movie. Yeah. She could have taken her job back like nothing.
Well, what do you mean she could have taken her job back?
Well, you're telling me that if in this film, if there was a scene where Elizabeth Sparkle walks into Dennis Quaid's office and she flashes him and says, "Give me my job back," right? Like he's gonna say, "No, thank you." Like
that's such a weird hypothetical. I don't know what to say to that one.
Well, because I said earlier that nowadays I believe that women have a lot of power.
If they decide to take advantage of it.
If they decide to take it.
Yes.
But there's many more ways that a woman can take over without having to be sexualized. Like if she just walked in and said, "Hey, I've given you all these really good years, and why waste the time to find somebody else when you already know that people are going to come back and watch for me anyway, because they've been coming back for all these years. Why even take the chance?" I think that Dennis Quaid...
How would that convince Dennis Quaid's character? Which is named Harvey, by the way.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I didn't even realize.
Did you pick up on that?
Yikes. I think that if Elizabeth Sparkle took a little more power over all of their interactions, because even when he gives her birthday gift, it's just in the box with all her stuff, like the cliche, "You're fired, get your things and get out," Like, it's just like, what is it, like a cookbook, right? Or something like that?
Yeah, it's another cookbook, but it's a cookbook. But again, okay, look at it. That's why I hate the way they exaggerated Dennis Quaid's character. Look, if let's say he was this polite person, he goes up to Elizabeth Sparkle and he says, "Elizabeth, I'm sorry to do this to you. We have to let you go. We need a fresh start. Our ratings are getting canned. We need to take this in another direction. We need to hire someone else."
That would make sense.
Is he the bad guy still?
No, because he.
Okay, let me finish. Now, shit, where was I going? I lost my train of thought. Okay, he's. Damn it. Oh, okay, yeah. Look at it this way. If he's not the bad guy now, then he's just doing what he needs to do to keep his job, to keep his show, surviving. Okay. So he's just doing what's best for his show.
Right. Okay. But he doesn't handle it in the best way because...
Of course not, because it's a satire.
Right, but think about it this way. You said you didn't feel bad about Elizabeth Sparkle.
No, not at all.
And her losing her job,
no,
right?
No.
Just like how you said, Harvey was trying to do everything he could to make sure that he had a livelihood after, right? He could pay his bills. He could do this. He could do that. Imagine the house or the penthouse or whatever the hell that was that she lived in.
That's a nice room.
Imagine if their views were going down. You don't think that her pay would have gotten less? year after year after year.
Well, I guess it depends on the contract you had.
Because if you think about it, somebody lost their job, and now they have to find a way to, okay, how the hell? Let's say she had 15 cars. Let's say she started at the age Sue started. Let's say she was like 21, 18, whatever the fuck, who cares?
Yeah, so she's turning 50, so
Right.
she was there for
like
a long time.
Let's say 30 years, right?
Okay.
She was there for 30 years. Now think about trying to live a life you've lived for 30 years with no job. Let's say she was really bad with her money, which again probably wouldn't be a bad thing, but let's say she was still good with her money. Mm-hmm. She didn't make any investments, but she saved it. At some point, I could give you $1 million right now. If you don't put that into investing anything or finding a way to make more money afterwards, yeah, you have $1 million, but that's gonna go away slowly and slowly, like, as you pay more bills, as you pay this, pay that, pay that.
What do you?
How could you not feel bad about her character?
I don't feel bad for her. Okay, she lost her job, but that's...
Forget the substance.
Okay.
She lost her job. How is she just supposed to...
But you said it yourself, she's still beautiful at age 50.
So what? Is she going to become a porn star? Like, what's your point?
All I'm saying is she doesn't have to reinvent herself. You're telling me she's so desperate that Dennis Quaid convinced her she's not beautiful anymore? That she's that naive, that she's that ignorant, that she has to take a black market drug to reinvent herself and make herself look younger.
Have you ever been...
You really want to defend that stupid of a character. I'm serious.
Have you ever been so desperate for anything?
Yes, I have before, yes.
Okay, so maybe because towards the end of the film, she realizes I made a mistake. Like, especially after Sue takes more time. Like, if she was that naive the whole time. Now, Elizabeth Sparkle, if she was naive that whole time, then okay, I wouldn't feel bad either. But after that 7 days, after the first dose of the substance, there's no going back. You have to... Well, I mean, I guess...
You mean when she gets the finger? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess you don't have to, right?
You don't have to watch.
Like, you don't have to switch with the body because then that body just dies. Or do you also die?
You mean the clone?
Yeah. That part I never got. Like, what
do you mean? What are you talking about?
Okay, so you know how Sue starts taking more time? Instead of just 7 days, she takes 2 weeks.
Right.
3 weeks. A month, right? Couldn't she have just, like, once Elizabeth Sparkle came back into her body, couldn't she have just stopped switching back and forth?
I don't
know. Because the effects would go to her clone, not her.
I guess, but I don't know. I mean, that's not the point. The point is to use the younger version of yourself. Yeah,
but what I'm saying is, after she realizes, I made a mistake by even deciding to take
When did she realize that mistake?
The finger.
Okay.
Yeah, she called the number and said, I made a mistake. I need to stop. How do I stop?
Okay,
right?
all right.
Because if you think about it, I think now
but then she doesn't stop.
She doesn't.
She doesn't, so...
Okay, think about it this way, right? Not only are you desperate, but now let's say you are a forgiving person, right? Let's say that Elizabeth Sparkle said, you know what? This person on the phone that I got all of this information from, that number on the postcard or whatever the hell it was, you are now one. You and your clone are one person. Like, you are in control of what happens, right? So it's not Sue, it's not Elizabeth Sparkle's fault, right? It's your fault. Just yours, right? Sure. Say you're in a desperate situation, just like Elizabeth Sparkle was, but let's say you're also a good person. You're like, you know what? People can change. Like, let me give them a chance to change. She does that with Sue. She's like, know what? Maybe she won't do it again. But then she does. Again and again and again because she gets comfortable.
That's where I think the flaw is in the plot of the movie is because is that still Elizabeth Sparkle in Sue's brain?
That's what I'm saying.
In her because so she's essentially mad at herself, but she can't control her own actions in her clone. I don't know.
That's why I think that's such a big plot hole because it's like, how are you going to say you're one if Elizabeth Sparkle knows?
If they have their own free will, you know?
Okay, but does that mean when Sue comes out of Elizabeth that her brain also went to her?
Yeah.
Or is that a different brain? Because if that's the case, your heart's not beating with suit, you know.
And anyway, that's why I don't give a shit about the plot holes. Is because again, it's a satire, and that's really you're not. And yeah, it should make sense,
right?
Yeah, necessarily. But I think we might be overthinking a little bit. It's just we have to make some sense of the message it's trying to convey, which is that women take their beauty standards too seriously.
Okay.
And that's why I think it's poking fun at women and what they'll do in order to get themselves looking younger again. That's what I hate. It's not. Don't blame Dennis Quaid, all right? Poor Dennis Quaid, okay? You know,
he was just reading his lines. Yeah. He was just acting in a movie.
All I'm saying is they portrayed that guy to look like such an asshole. And yeah, he's a jerk. His character's supposed to be a jerk. Okay, but don't blame him for something that Demi Moore's character did on her own free time, you know?
Makes sense. Okay, you're right. I think that...
Do you honestly think that she got convinced she wasn't pretty enough because of what Harvey said? Serious? Do you really think that?
Well, that's where I'm kind of stuck because
why should she care about what this guy says? She knows he's a jerk.
Well, okay, my thing is, I was just gonna say that we only see Dennis Quaid's reaction to her, but that's a lie because the guy from Homeroom or wherever the hell, he sees her after she fresh out the hospital.
Exactly.
You know, and he's like, "Oh my God, you're still as beautiful as you were back then." If not, even more now.
Right.
So that
reinforces my point.
Right, yeah. That's why I said I'm behind you.
Okay,
I get it.
Yeah.
You know? But I think that if it's not coming from the right person, it's not going to mean anything.
Okay, I can understand that too.
If you compare those two characters, this guy had what? He was balding. He had the same glasses I do. Yeah. He looked nerdy as hell.
He dropped the number
he dropped the number in the muddy puddle. Like, he was a mess. But let's say you put Michael B. Jordan in that scene, and he does the same exact stuff. You think she's still going to take that damn substance? She's going to be like, Michael B. Jordan thinks I'm
But she
beautiful.
takes the substance anyway.
Well, yeah, because it was coming from the guy in Homeroom who looks like that. And my point was, if it's not coming from the right person, I don't think it's going to matter. You know? Like, I don't know.
It's got to... Okay, it should come from someone you care about. Whose opinion you care about.
Right. It should come from somebody that you either look up to, that you respect enough.
And you're telling me she cared about Harvey's opinion.
Well, let's say me and you work together for the next 30 years.
Okay.
And I tell you, Steven, you're ugly as fuck. Are you gonna believe me?
I'd say by that time, in 30 years, I will be in my 50s.
Right.
So by that time, I would be pretty self-confident and not give a shit, really. You know?
Okay, if I told you right now, Steven, you look like trash, would you believe me?
No, because your opinion...
because my opinion doesn't matter because I'm not you.
Right.
So that's why I say I'm behind you. Nobody's opinion should have mattered when it came to Elizabeth Sparkle. But I think because it was her job on the line, and even though it wasn't her face or her body... So
you're saying she did it for her prosperity, not for her
appearance. For sure.
Not for her for her prosperity, for her financial situation.
Yes.
You're saying she did that to get her job. There's no way she did that just to get her job.
I think she did that because she couldn't... It's like an addiction, you know? When you're addicted to something and you've been doing it for long enough, it's so hard to stop. So any way you can find a way to keep doing it, you're going to keep doing it. So I think, in a sense, because she could walk on the street. Nobody called her ugly. No. As Elizabeth Sparkle, she was still this massive star outside of the show. Yeah. She didn't need to do it for her beauty standards. Demi Moore is beautiful as in general, right? I think she genuinely did it because she had a job that she wanted to keep, even if it wasn't her face or her body anymore.
But that completely contradicts the entire message the movie's trying to convey, which is
I think they're trying to put out the wrong message.
You're saying the message of this movie is that a person will stop at nothing to reclaim their job? Is that what you're saying?
I think that anybody will do anything to make sure that they, keep an addiction going, if that makes sense.
An addiction of what, though?
Again, let's say she's been working this job for 30 years. You think that you can just give up something after 30 years?
I really think you're missing the point of the movie.
I think that they're trying to put out the wrong message.
I don't know. I think you're losing it now.
Okay, look, because I think if she was walking down the street and somebody said, "Oh, you're ugly, you're not like what you used to be," and all this stuff, then sure, maybe it's for the beauty standards. But nobody says that. All Dennis Quaid said is, "You're getting old." Not ugly.
Right. He probably said it in the not the best, most polite way, but
right.
It's definitely about beauty standards. Of course it is.
What's your, to end this video on a high note, what is your final review on this film?
Look, I am not a fan of it. Again, because of how Dennis Quaid's character was portrayed. Okay, remember the guy in the hallway? He was complaining about she was drilling.
Yes.
They didn't really exaggerate his character. Not much.
Yeah, not necessarily.
He just wanted some peace and quiet.
Yeah.
And obviously he was attracted to once Sue answered the door. You know, that's just natural for any guy. Okay.
Right.
So I really think they could have improved upon it by just making it more solid. You know, it's not subtle at all. That's not really my style of filmmaking. I need things like either suggested or implied. But when something's so like in your face, like those wide angles, like and also the fact that they referenced so many movies, as you pointed out earlier, like with the bloodbath at the end.
Sure.
They had. Have you seen Carrie?
No.
Something similar to that happens at the end. They're in a concert at an auditorium. A bloodbath happens. I mean, you mentioned The Shining before. And in the shower scene, Psycho.
Right.
Come on. I think there's a line drawn between inspiration and when it's derivative. And I think that the substance maybe borrowed a bit too much in order to... It was so obvious. I mean, come on. It actually came off as a little desperate to me.
Gotcha.
Honestly. I mean... They could have... I think they could have done a better job. That's just me.
My thing is, I walked into this film with no expectations, which I think you should, as a moviegoer, do. And I walked out a whole new man. Like, I definitely walked out like, what the hell did I just watch? But if I were to give this a rating, it would definitely be like, now, seeing it in new eyes, 7 out of 10.
Wait, really? 7?
Generous.
You're giving it 7
Yeah.
out of 10? What?
Yeah.
The guy who said he almost puked after he watched the movie? Wow, okay.
I think I focused on the gore more than I should have. And I think that was the issue.
Yeah, but the gore is more, it's more secondary.
Right.
So no, I would give it like a 3.
Okay. Well, that's like a culmination of, I don't even know how to do that math. But do you guys agree with our review of this film? To those of you that have seen it, make sure you leave a comment down below. This topic that got very heated at points, but that
very
just goes
political.
to show how this movie impacted the both of us.
This is what debates are all about.
Definitely. Thank you guys for coming back. Thank you for watching. And if you like this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. And make sure to come back 2 weeks from now for episode 4. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Peace out.